Welcome to DraftKings Market Movers here on Drafting Out Loud for 5/15/2026. As usual, we'll be talking about the risers, we'll be talking about the fallers, we'll be looking at some of the best values on the platform. But really, if there's one thing I'm interested in talking about, it's one of the fallers and why we should just let him keep on falling. Let's get into it. First off, we have the risers. Why are all the Los Angeles Chargers rising? I don't know why. I think part of it might be because some people are really high on Justin Herbert, but then why isn't Herbert on the list? I don't get it. Weird risers. We also have Breece Hall rising up the boards. He is solidly in the third round. I think it might be time where Breece Hall no longer ends up in the fourth round on DraftKings, which is kind of sad. Ted Hurst is rising up the board on both platforms. Get your Ted Hurst in one of the last rounds. I tried to get him in round 17 on Underdog yesterday. He went in round 16. So you gotta be aggressive. Aggressive. Okay, last but not least, Antonio Williams now up to pick 168. Isn't it starting to get a little uncomfortable how high he is going? He wasn't that good of a prospect, and there's some players that will probably pass him up if things break right. Draft him, stack him, but getting kind of iffy. But let's get to the fallers. The fallers are the ones that I wanted to talk about the most, and really just one faller. That faller is Bucky Irving. He is now getting to the point where he is about to get out of the fourth round. The fourth round ends on pick 48. He's currently at pick 45. He's dropping. You can see a lot here in the past 2 days at 2%, and for the past week, 2% as well. So I think there's like a secondary fall going on after some negative news about Bucky Irving, and maybe even some positive news, or maybe people taking that negative news and turning into positive news for Kenneth Gainwell. In fact, looking at the risers, you can see Kenneth Gainwell is rising up the board. There seems to be some more momentum here for this drop here for Bucky Irving, like a new momentum for a new drop. I expect him to maybe fall into the fifth round, and I don't want to play fourth round Bucky and fifth round other player if I can play fourth round other player and then fifth round Bucky. Just around that range there is when the picks start to get a little less. The picks just aren't as fun sometimes. Now you do have like Mike Evans over there, which is nice, and some other players over there, which is nice. But if I get my pick of those players and then Bucky Irving, I think I'd like that a lot more. So I think in general, letting Bucky fall into the fifth round, if you're playing the ADP game, is a good idea. Get unique, but get better unique is what I'm saying. Last but not least, we got our platform values here. And if there's two things we're going to talk about, number one is Breece Hall is still a value on the platform, even though he's rising. And this one, like we've talked about, doesn't make sense. Breece Hall is a pass catching running back on a PPR website. He should probably be more expensive on Underdog, and it hasn't corrected itself yet. So while he is rising, and while we don't really like their playoff schedule based on what we just went over reviewing playoff schedules, check that out if you haven't. I think Breece Hall is still a player you want to target on DraftKings and still get some of him. He's rising because he signed his contract, and I think it looks like he's rising on both platforms, to tell you the truth. So let's get him before he rises too much. Other player here is Chris Rodriguez. At 110, he just seems way too expensive on Underdog. At 126, at least you can kind of like feel a little more comfy taking him. So that's another player I think you want to probably target a little bit. He is the second cheapest player on this list other than Jonah Coleman. And I don't know why Jonah Coleman's going at 166. We don't know what's going on in Denver. And you got to think if there is an odd man out, don't know if there will be, but if there is, you got to assume it's probably Jonah Coleman. Now, if news kind of breaks and he isn't the odd man out, right, then we got to reevaluate where we're drafting him. But pick 166, 141, I got to think that's being buoyed by auto drafters and people that maybe aren't paying attention to what happened in the draft. So there you go. Target your Breece Hall. Target your Ted Hurst. Avoid your Bucky Irving. And I'll see you in the drafts. Peace.